listening to the Pay-Per-View Prediction Show with the cast of the Ringside Seat Podcast.
How's it going, everybody? You are listening to the Ringside Seat Prediction Show for WWE Hell in a Cell. The gang is back after a month off, and it wasn't a month off that we chose. Hurricane Matthew came through, kind of knocked off some of the plans, but, that weekend of the pay-per-view, we didn't have power, let alone internet. But now we are back, and the title's back on the line in WWE Hell in a Cell, and as always, I am your host, Dreamcast Phil.
I'm Jake Ryan is Epic.
And I'm Just Billy.
So after a month off that we didn't plan on, we can get back to Raw's exclusive pay-per-view tomorrow night, Hell in the Cell. It is at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. And we're going to get right into it. The pre-show match is a six-man Cruiserweight Classic Tag Team match. We have Cedric Alexander, Sin Cara, and Lince Dorado. Have we seen this guy yet?
He was in the CWC, but I think he got eliminated second round.
Okay, and they are facing Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Daivari. This one's pretty simple. It's the pre-show match. It's just going to be the baby faces, I think, here. Simple as that. I think baby faces go over to start the show.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be unanimous on this one. I am picking the baby faces as well.
And that feeling is right, Jake. It's going to be Cedric Alexander, Lince Dorado, and Sin Cara to pick up the win on this pre-show match.
I was a little surprised they didn't have Lynn Swann in here. Instead of maybe Sin Cara or the Lince guy, but because he has been shown on Raw recently. I think this will really be used to showcase Cedric Alexander. That's how I would book it anyway. Next we have Bayley and Dana Brooke, and it won't be in a arm wrestling match this time. It'll actually be in the ring. I think Bayley goes over. I think this feud has pretty much ran its course, and Bayley needs the win because she's kind of been floundering since she first came up, and the excitement kind of wore off of her debut on the main roster.
I agree with you, Phil. I think, logically speaking, Bayley is going to win, so my pick is Bayley.
And I'm on board with you guys as well. I think Bayley's going to win, and I'm looking forward to where she goes from here. Maybe a triple threat at Survivor Series. That'd be interesting.
That would be. I guess it'll depend on who walks out with the women's title at the end of the show, which we'll get to. There's always a point in these where we fall off the rails as far as agreeing with each other, and I think this one might be it. When you have Gallows and Anderson against Enzo Amore and Big Cass, you could argue that the club needs this win because they haven't really done much, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy win this, similar to the way Enzo won on Raw, where Enzo's a legal man and Big Cass, throws a well-timed big boot, and that's the difference maker. I'm going with the realest guys in the room.
I almost wanted to say I'm picking the club, but I read somewhere that Enzo and Big Cass may be in line for a big push down the line. So with that in mind, I'm going to pick Enzo and Big Cass.
They might get a push down the line, but that might be way down the line. I'm thinking towards WrestleMania time, but I'm going to have to stir up some trouble here and go with Gallows and Anderson for the win in this match.
I mean, I could easily see them winning. They have kind of had their number throughout this. This could go either way. I'm more going, with my heart than my head on this one. Speaking of going with your heart over your head, we have the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships. The New Day closing in on the record of longest reigning Tag Team Champions against Cesaro and Sheamus. And I want to go with Cesaro and Sheamus. They picked up a non-title win on Raw, which history tells you doesn't normally, they don't normally win 2 times in a row, especially on a pay-per-view. But to me, the risk of being able to say I was right on this outweighs me being wrong on this one match. So I'm actually going to go with Cesaro and Sheamus. I think they might find a way to win, and it would make sense because the New Day's got to lose the belts at some point, and if they lose it to a team of main eventers, it's a pretty good way to go out. I understand their record is looming, but it is possible that they fall just short of that because there's a whole other set of tag team belts anyway. So I'm actually going to go with Cesaro and Sheamus.
concur with you, Phil. I'm going with Cesaro and Sheamus as well.
Every time I bet against the New Day, I lose, so I'm going to go with the New Day on this one, and I think they're going to eventually get that record of longest reigning champions within the WWE.
Who do you think they drop them to? Like, I assume if they get to the record, then they're going to drop it shortly after. So who would you put in line to win them?
I mean, like Jake was saying, maybe Enzo and Cass, like eventually, but it's hard to say. But maybe Sheamus and Cesaro next go around.
Yeah, that's possible. But I'm with you. Normally, you bet against the New Day and you lose. I think the only time I ever got that right was when they fought the Wyatts a couple pay-per-views back. Next, we have the Cruiserweight Championship of the World. You got T.J. Perkins dabbing on everybody against the Brian Kendrick. This storyline has taken a really dark turn if you watch Raw and keep up with it. I'm actually going to go with Brian Kendrick here. I think this division needs a heel on top, and all these young baby faces trying to take the title from him. Oh, little echo there. But yeah, I'm going to go with Brian Kendrick on this one.
I'm actually going to disagree. Just like what Billy did when he picked the Club over Enzo and Big Cass, I'm going to go with T.J. Perkins, and I feel like I'm going to be on an island on this one, but that's the hill I might die on. So T.J. Perkins.
Yep, you're right, Jake. You're over there by yourself on that island, because I'm going to be going with the Brian Kendrick on this one, because I don't know, I feel like TJ's kind of been a bust, so to say. I don't think he's really that, I don't know, personable or enthusiastic, or I don't know. Yeah, he's not my favorite, so to say, but I think Brian Kendrick is definitely, like Phil was saying, need to have that heel on top to kind of, give life to the division, storyline-wise.
I don't know if it's necessarily T.J. Perkins' fault. I think, if you're going to be the face of a division, you need to be somebody that everybody already kind of knows. And, he did great in the Cruiserweight Classic. I don't know how many main roster, just Raw fans, let's say, watched that. I mean, I'm sure some of them did, but not all. So I like T.J. Perkins as a wrestler. I'm okay that he was the first champion. It was kind of a youth movement. But, yeah, for now, they need a familiar face to keep this division going. We're moving on to the first of our 3 main events. There's 3 main events. At least that's what Vince will tell you. All 3 Hell in the Cell matches, all title matches. We're going to start with Roman Reigns defending his title against Rusev in the feud that'll never end. I think this might be where it ends. I'm going to go with Rusev on this one. The hot potato booking with the titles I've never really enjoyed. But this might be what they do with it, because Rusev is synonymous with the U.S. title. I think Reigns was just there to, help elevate it a little bit. I'm going to go with Rusev, and then he can go off and feud with someone that's actually a mid-carder, because this whole main eventer at the mid-card title doesn't work very often unless your name's John Cena.
You must have forgotten who Roman Reigns is, because LOL Roman wins. I'm going with Roman.
I, as well, am going to agree with Jake and go with Roman Reigns on this one. I think, honestly, Rusev needs to step up from the mid-card and go towards that main event feud eventually. And because he's never had a, main title even opportunity, so to say, let alone hold the belt.
Right.
So, hopefully, I think he's a great worker, a good classic, monster heel, obvious, the foreigner. But, I'm going to go Roman Reigns on this one.
Yeah, my opinion of Rusev has actually improved a lot since even maybe this time last year. Because my question with if Roman Reigns wins, like, where would he go from here? Not many people get to beat Roman Reigns, so to have him hold the mid-card title would kind of hold it hostage. At least when Rusev did it, you could say it was, pushing him to better things. And I agree. I think eventually he does need a shot at one of those top titles. And speaking of top titles, the next match we have is another Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title. We have Kevin Owens defending against Seth Rollins again. And I'm going to go with Kevin Owens on this one. I think Jericho has to interfere. Why he's not on this card, why this wasn't a triple threat, I'll never know. I think that would have broken up. When you have 3 Hell in the Cell matches, the women's one is going to be unique, obviously, because it's the first women's one, which we'll get to. But I think a triple threat Hell in the Cell would have been great because those aren't done very often. But that being said, I am going to go with Kevin Owens on this one to eventually feud with Jericho when their little best friend trip eventually breaks up.
I gotta agree with you, Phil, only because I think that maybe Seth Rollins is meant for another thing down the line that obviously we don't have time to talk about now, but the short answer is my pick is Kevin Owens.
Yep, this one's going to be unanimous with Kevin Owens picking up the win and going to still be the Universal Champion. I mean, like Phil said, I think Chris Jericho is like the hottest thing in WWE right now. For him to not be on this card is absurd, and so he has to at least be on the show in some sort of capacity. So I definitely won't be surprised to see his face during this match.
Yeah, we'll see where we are in a few weeks on this, but I'm predicting a Owens-Jericho Survivor Series match. Maybe they throw Rollins in there too. Maybe that's where the triple threat happens. But I think Jericho is going to be getting that match sooner than later. We're coming here to what we believe will be the last match on the card. There's been some back and forth about that. You have Sasha Banks defending her women's title against Charlotte Flair, because she's going with her last name now too, in the first ever female Hell in the Cell match. Before we got a couple minutes here, before we get to who we're picking, what do you guys just think about the idea of this? I mean, how far women's wrestling has come. We've seen a couple of hardcore matches with women and stuff. This will be, how big of a deal is this? I think, they trusted 2 very good women to hold the banner of this, but how big is this for women's wrestling and wrestling as a whole?
Billy, do you want to start or shall I?
Oh, well, I think that this, obviously is a monumental match and, a step forward in women wrestling, becoming equal to men's wrestling. They're not women wrestlers. They're superstars, just equivalents of their peers. And, they've done monumental things before, like the 30-minute Iron Man match between Bayley and Sasha at NXT TakeOver, and which was phenomenal. And just having a Hell in a Cell match, which is not I don't think it's gonna really be so much based on the technical wrestling. It's gonna be kind of like Phil said, more of a hardcore aspect. And I think this is the match that we're going to be talking about the next day. Is going to be this match.
So when I first heard about this female Hell in a Cell match, at first I was excited because women's wrestling has come so far just in the past year. But then my brain kicked on and I asked myself, is a Hell in a Cell match for women really necessary? I mean, if you were to look at these 2 women's SummerSlam match and their 2 matches on Raw, their matches were great. They don't need Hell in a Cell to justify them fighting. And it comes to my conclusion that I feel like the Raw women's division is just, what can we put these women through to give the illusion of, hey, we're empowering women?
I mean, I agree that, they don't need the Hell in the Cell. I think it's more for the spectacle of it, the fact that they trust these women to do it. I don't think they would have done that with everyone. But we are coming up on our last minute here, so we're going to get the round robin real quick. I'm going to go with Sasha. They've played hot potato enough on this. I think this closes this chapter of this feud. They'll revisit down the line. But I think the boss keeps the title at the end on Sunday.
I've got Sasha as well.
Yep, this will be Charlotte's first pay-per-view loss against Sasha Banks, the boss, to retain the Women's Championship.
Well, the end is unanimous, and after a month back, I think we killed this one, guys. Everybody enjoy the pay-per-view, and thanks for listening. As always, I am Dreamcast Phil.
I'm Jake Ryan is Epic.
And I'm me, Just Billy.
And we'll see you next time. We'll save you a seat.